Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, everyone around the globe is talking about the tariffs. We're going to be talking about the impact to people who are affected. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So this is still very much a breaking news story. There's a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth around the globe. Everybody's wondering what these tariffs mean. And to talk about that today, Nancy Gail Daniels, she's the Chief Operating Officer for Hyosung Americas. And you're coming back on the show. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me back, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we had a phone call yesterday, and I said, you have to come back on the show and give us an update. But before we get into tariff talk, I want you to give people a view of what Hyosung Americas is all about.
Thank you, Jeff. So Hyosung Americas, we are the largest manufacturer of ATMs in North America. So when you go into a C-store, gas station, a restaurant, or a hotel, you'll see an ATM there. People used to get cash, and we make those. We have over 180,000 of those throughout the United States, in addition to providing ATMs for major financial institution clients, banks.
And it's a huge company. We're going to pull up the website, and as we scroll down the website, let's talk about, it's not just ATMs, you do all kinds of things.
We do. So Hyosung, our parent company, is about a $30 billion Korean company. We make everything from technical fabrics to tire cord, seatbelt material, chemicals, and so forth, in addition to automatic teller machines. The particular business I'm responsible for, we make basically most of the products which are used in banking.
Yes, and you don't get to be this large without a keen eye on customer service. So talk about what it is about just the fabric of this huge company that is so customer-centric.
Yeah, the key thing is, as we sort of mentioned last time, most people think that cash is sort of going away. People are using Venmo or PayPal or other mechanisms. In reality, cash actually continues to grow fairly significantly, about 4% per year, based on what the Federal Reserve tells us in terms of the number of notes in circulation. And it's disproportionately used by the lower economic portion of the population. So if your household income is less than, say, $25,000 a year, almost 45% of your payments are done in cash. And we basically provide the infrastructure, the utility that provides, that cash outlet to people across the United States, Canada, Mexico, and actually elsewhere in the world as well.
Sure. So we're going to show some video of your headquarters here in North America. You're actually based in Irving, right?
We are.
And so how many people do you employ here in America?
So we have about 150 people in our Irving building, total in our warehouse facilities and so forth. There's probably close to 300 people. And then across the United States, we have an additional 600 field technicians that fix those ATMs in 49 states.
Sure. And you're kind of a behind-the-scenes company, if you will. It's not like you're clamoring for the limelight. When I first brought you on the show, I think I had found about you from a KRLD interview with David Johnson, who I greatly respect. But we both agree, these days you do have to toot your own horn. It's a very noisy planet.
I appreciate it. That's not my style, but our particular industry, because it is banking tends to be very conservative. We deal with huge amounts of cash, And because one of the things that's important is sort of keeping our people safe, because there are people out there that would like to get the money inside those ATMs, we intentionally really don't toot our horn, as you say, very much, because it's really a combination of sort of the conservative nature of banking, the idea that we really want to keep our people safe, the people that fix those ATMs, make sure there's cash in them and so forth. So we do take a somewhat lower profile.
Sure. And this is a shot of the Trump news conference yesterday from the White House, and he's holding up a poster board. This may be the most famous poster board that he's ever held up. Talk about Vietnam, because that's number 3 on the list. But that tariff is huge.
Yeah, it was, when this came out about 3:30 yesterday, we were a bit surprised. We manufacture all of our ATMs in Vietnam outside of Hanoi. We invested in a very, very large plant. It's about 850,000 square feet. We produce, somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 ATMs a month in that facility. They're transshipped from Haiphong Harbor to Long Beach and then by rail here to Dallas. And in the past, ATMs were actually accepted for many tariffs. So when this came out yesterday, we were expecting a 3.71% tariff. So we were a bit surprised with a 46% tariff, which is a fairly shocking number. It really makes it very difficult for people to afford and buy ATMs at that kind of tariff rate.
And Nancy, we were talking just before the show that even the number that Trump held up on the poster board is not exactly accurate for what you guys face, because your ATMs are made of aluminum and steel.
That's correct. ATMs are basically safes that are made of high carbon steel, and there's a lot of very complex computers and mechanisms inside them. And our understanding, based on conversations we had with trade experts very late last night, is that there is a additive tariff. So there's a 46% base tariff. In addition to that, there's another additional tariff based on the steel content, so that the potential tariff could be as much as 63.5% on an ATM.
Wow. And I think part of the reason for you coming back on the show is to reassure your customers, your partners. So I want to give you some time to talk about that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And this is really more for, we have a large number of customers, and this ranges from large banks to small business operators that maybe own 100 ATMs and use that as a key source of income. The key thing is that versus yesterday versus today, nothing's changed. We maintain a fairly significant inventory in our facilities out by the airport, in our free trade zone facility in the airport, and we have supply for at least the next couple months. We're certainly not going to sort of take advantage of the tariff situation to increase prices until we really sort of work this through. We are also, since this is, as you said, breaking news, we are working through other mitigation strategies as well. We appreciate that basically what the executive branch of the administration is trying to do is to bring jobs to the United States. Fortunately, we have fairly material infrastructure here in Texas, and we are in the process sort of working through in terms of how we lower the content of labor and parts and so forth that is produced in Vietnam, how we sort of bring that here to Texas, to our facilities here, in sort of response to what the administration is trying to achieve. The challenge, of course, is that's going to take a little bit of time, and we're less than 24 hours into this fairly surprising news. And myself and my team and a lot of really smart people were sort of working it through. So the key thing for the people that work with us, that purchase our ATMs, that rely on us and so forth, is the difference between yesterday and today is nothing. Nothing changes. Over the next 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, as we really begin to sort of understand the full impact of the tariffs and also what our ability is to mitigate those, that may change. But for right now, it really, nothing has really changed, and we'll continue to support our customers and serve really that key piece of infrastructure that serves our customers as well.
Sure, and I know you're not a politician, you're not a pundit, far from it, but what we do know about Trump is he wrote a very famous book many years ago called The Art of the Deal, and his track record has been to do things that honestly get people to the bargaining table. So are you hopeful that this is not a permanent new normal, that this may resolve itself?
As you said, I'm an engineer, and I know how to keep my place. So in this context, I think that given the nature of this is obviously not sort of a random thing. It was obviously clearly thought through. It was a surprise to everyone, and what we are planning as if this is the new normal. We don't know that, but really that is really kind of our approach. And if really the new normal is that we will have very high tariffs on products that are manufactured outside the United States to provide best possible prices, if we sort of need to modify that to sort of adapt to that new normal, that's exactly what we're going to do. And the key thing is really, from our perspective, how quickly we can get there. I do know from conversations I had very late last night with folks that work in our Vietnam facility, as well as in our parent company in Korea and so forth, the reaction of the respective governments has not necessarily been positive. And so as a consequence, as somebody that's really focused on our customers here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're really sort of planning as if this is the new normal and figuring out how to adapt to that situation. The key thing about any executive in these times is you need to be agile, you need to be adaptable, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yes. We have about a minute left. So final thoughts. I have to imagine just stay calm and carry on is the mantra of the day.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Nothing has really fundamentally changed. And as we sort of, whether we deal, particularly in our industry, there's a whole bunch of things that we sort of deal with, whether that is an increase in ATM crime, which has occurred pretty materially since COVID, whether it is an increase in cybercrime, or it's a tariff. And again, I'm not sort of comparing those things together. We constantly sort of have to adapt and so forth to not only the environment we're dealing with, but also sort of consumer needs. And that's exactly what we'll continue to do, as we have for the past 20, 25 years here in this business.
Absolutely, and you don't get to be as large and successful as you are without having a firm hand on the steering wheel. So Nancy Gail Davis, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to end with the website, which is HyosungAmericas.com. The great Nancy Gail Davis. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate you having me back.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.